Rather than large, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. My name is Cossy. We are back and we're going to be discussing lots of Arsenal stuff. We're going to be discussing in particular the Arsenal exodus, which players are leaving, which players are staying. And of course, we're going to be discussing which players should leave Arsenal in light of our squad depth, in light of which players do not have anything, do not have crossed the line of redemption, in light of which players should stay until the end of the season, and of course, in light with all the new possibilities that we might bring in a striker, we might bring in a midfielder, which players should leave to create some space for others. We're going to be discussing reports indicating the Arsenal are actually planning, Edu is planning a January clear out. The likes of Kolasinac, Ainsley Maitland-Niles is also asking for playing time as well. Kolasinac wanted at Watford, Aubameyang wanted at Barcelona, Lacazette really unsettled and his future very, very unclear. Edin Ketia refused to sign a new contract. Could he leave in January? We're going to be discussing much about that, but because I'm gonna ask you a favor, smash that like button. Make sure you always do whenever you come onto the live streams. Make sure you smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well, because you guys are massively helping it. You can't believe we are only a few subscribers away from 35,000, and we are 34,669. So I think that is with simple mathematics, around 400 subscribers away from 35,000. So if you want to help this channel massively, make sure you're hitting the like button and make sure you're also subscribing to the channel. Now, I want to introduce to you two new concepts. One is my partner, Melbet. Of course, Melbet is I'm partnering with Melbet for this month to bring you the biggest updates around Arsenal, but also very, very quality content. So make sure you do check out Melbet. Link is in the video description. They will give you a 300% bonus when you sign up with them and start betting with them. Just earn off your passion. We are playing Sunderland today. Just get some little money, place it on Arsenal. Look, we should be able to beat Sunderland, so place it on Arsenal and just make a little money. Use promo code there, Cossy, in capital letters, COSSY in capital letters. Please make sure you do that. Then I also want to introduce to you Cossy's Arsenal podcast Extra. Now that is where I will be clipping. What I'm going to do is that at times the live streams are so long. So what we will do is that we will be clipping the live streams and re-uploading them there on the Cossy's Arsenal podcast. So if you miss any story, for example, if you watch this video and at some point in time you have to leave because you're busy and I value your time, I will be clipping the live streams into shorter clips, into shorter videos, that are topical. So make sure you subscribe to Cossy's Arsenal podcast Extra. I will be providing a link starting tomorrow, a link in the description, a link in the in the title of our videos, and also I will be sharing that videos on the channel community. So make sure you always check out the channel community. Massively appreciated if you do subscribe to Cossy's Arsenal podcast Extra. And of course, we will also put content for other clubs because I really love football and I really love talking about football. And of course, we're gonna be discussing football in this video, right? So Football.London actually did come out and confirmed that there will be players leaving Arsenal in January, depending on the fact that there are so many players who do have very, very unclear situations, in terms of their contract, at the club. And Mikel Arteta also came out and said that what we do in January will depend on the uncertainty of some players and their contract. Of course, I know he was meaning the likes of Nketiah. He was talking about the likes of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. He was talking about the likes of Alexander Lacazette, and we're gonna discuss them in depth in this video. So my question to you lads is, which players do you think have run out of time at Arsenal? Name one player there in the comment section. Massively appreciated if you do that. Just name for me one player that you think is exhausted at Arsenal. Like just one player. And I'm going to tell you one, Mohamed El Neni. Yeah, I mean, Kolasinac for me is not. It shouldn't be an Arsenal player anymore. But for me, El Neni, I consider him an Arsenal player. And when we have a crisis, I would call him. I would call upon Mohamed El Neni in the squad. So I would, with all due respect, because I even consider him as an Arsenal player, I do feel that he is absolutely exhausted. But of course, let me know down there below, lads. Which players do you think are exhausted in this Arsenal side? Which players do you think they are beyond the limit? They shouldn't be living. So Football.London, back to the article. They say that they claim that Edu will be working as hard as possible to make players leave, of course, to create players to create space for new players, but also to drive out the deadwood, which is actually a problem for Arsenal. Which it's been a problem for our club ever since Unai Emery and Mikel Arteta took over this football club. I think that it's been one of our biggest issues. Clutter. I mean, needless players. I'll call them clutter. I'm so sorry if the word is so bad. But those players that are just there in the squad, and they just need to leave. I'm telling you, I'm surprised that Mohamed El Neni, Mo El Neni, the Arsenal Egyptian has been for this on this club for almost half a decade. The same with Sead Kolasinac, almost half a decade, 5 years. When you're not good enough, I mean, 2 years are enough for you to leave a club. 2 years are enough. But anyway, we're gonna be discussing name by name. We're going to be looking at those players that will be engaged in the exodus. What do I think about them and where I think they will go, and what is the valuation? How much should we be getting out of there? So make sure you do join me in the conversation. One player, let me know down there, one player that you think should leave. One, even if it's on a free, one player that you think should leave. We're not talking about incomings today. We are talking about outgoings. Number one, Bernd Leno. So with Bernd Leno, I've already spoken about Leno in very high regard as an Arsenal fan. And of course, look, let me tell you something. I think by that time, I was watching too much of the German Bundesliga when Leno was still at Borussia at Bayer Leverkusen. Sorry, I was about to say Borussia Mönchengladbach. I do love Gladbach because they are also almost like an academy to Dortmund, But Leno at Leverkusen, before we signed in Unai Emery, I was very intrigued. I was very intrigued. I was really impressed by Bernd Leno. And my concern was, I wish we can sign Leno. That is what I said. I wish we can sign Leno. By that time, I think Peter Cech was in goal. For Arsenal, he was aging, and we had brought in from Chelsea. Look, there's no question. Peter Cech was a top goalkeeper, very highly rated. I really do, I really did rate him, highly. And I think everything Peter Cech had in his career was because he worked for it, was because he merited it. The years he spent at Chelsea, he was a top goalkeeper. I mean, there's no question about that. He was a very top class goalkeeper. But time came when Peter Cech was a liability. I'm gonna say that. Sorry for me to say that. When Peter Cech had become a liability, in that Arsenal goal, conceding goals for fun, conceding goals that you think even an upcoming goalkeeper like Arthur Okonkwo wouldn't be actually conceding. So I thought about Leno. I was watching the German Bundesliga already. Of course, by the time the Bundesliga had a couple of other goalkeepers. I think they had Tim Horn, in the Bundesliga. There was Tim Horn. There was just looking for the name of that goalkeeper that went to Liverpool. It's just slipping out of my head. Is it Karius? There was Karius. Make no mistake, Karius was a good goalkeeper then. So there was Karius, there was Tim Horn, there was Bernd Leno, and there was Marc-Andre ter Stegen before moving to Barcelona. So there was that kind of brand of new goalkeepers that was actually coming up in the German Bundesliga. But I was most impressed by ter Stegen and by Ter Stegen and Ban Leno, and I just pray that one day we would sign Leno, and it came true. I think it was he the first signing under Unai Emery, or was he something like among the first signings under Unai Emery? And make no mistake, Leno is still a top class goalkeeper. If he goes to Bayern, I'm really surprised that Bayern are really keeping quiet. Do they want to get him on a free, probably, or something like that? Because Bayern are good at that. They just come in and recollect that talent, especially German talent that is, out there being wasted. Look at the likes of Leroy Sané and what they've done with them. Look at the likes of Serge Gnabry and what they've done with them. That's what they do. They just come in and say, you're a German player, you're good enough, and come back home, come play for, come to daddy. That is what Bayern do. So with Ban Leno, I've always thought that he's going to be the direct successor to Manuel Neuer on the German national team and also at Bayern. I just have a feeling it's me trusting my gut. It's me trusting my instincts. It is nothing, absolutely nothing, logical, in any way. But I think Leno, to speak about him leaving in January, I think he needs to leave. For us, as a club, make no mistake, we do not need Leno to leave. We don't need Leno to leave the club in January. We need him to stay. We need him to be there. He's just imagine having Ban Leno as a backup goalkeeper, because Leno starts in around 15 of 20 Premier League teams at the moment. Where doesn't he start? Okay. I think at Leeds he starts over Meslier. Definitely, I think he does. At Brentford, does he start over David Raya? Maybe there would be a question there, because Raya is also a top class goalkeeper, there, and he's been there for quite some time at Brentford. But I think for me, I do rate Ban Leno over David Raya, so I think he would start over David Raya. David Raya doesn't start over me at Chelsea, doesn't start ahead of Alisson, and Liverpool doesn't start ahead of De Gea. But at Spurs, Higuaín and Ban Leno, it could be a question. There could be a question, but of course, I might go with Laurie. But I think at least in 14 Premier League sides, he starts there. I would start him over Pickford, Everton. I would definitely do that. Brighton, Sanchez. I might just start him over Sanchez at Brighton. So my point there is that Leno, the fact that he's leaving in January doesn't make him a bad player. Yes, he's had a rough time. So is so do many players, in their careers. There are times, because what is surprising with Leno is that he got that bad run after an injury, right? Before he gets the injury, he was a top class goalkeeper, and all of us never had any problem with him. Actually, in that season, in Mikel Arteta's first season, he was among the three best players at Arsenal. So anyone who wants to slander and abuse Leno, I think is a mistake. We are so lucky to have him as a backup goalkeeper, but such quality, you can never have it on your bench unless you're Madrid or your Bayern. And with goalkeepers, it's so hard that you're going to have two quality goalkeepers unless you're having Donnarumma and Keylor Navas, because for me Navas is trash. So he's been there. He's been on the scene ever since he broke through. He's been on the scene for some time. He deserves the respect, but he can be a backup goalkeeper, and maybe the likes of Sergio Romero. But if you look at a goalkeeper like Leno, his future is bright. He still has a lot to cover, a lot of ground to cover in terms of his career. 28 years of age, that is the starting point of a goalkeeper. Even if you're a midfielder, even if you're a defender, 28 years of age, there is a lot for you to do. So Leno has more than 6 years performing at a top level, right, in his career. 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35. 8 years. 8 more years. So it's going to be, I think Leno will be leaving in January unless otherwise. Of course, Inter wanted him. That is what we knew, that Inter wanted him. But Inter have reached a total agreement to sign ex-Arsenal target Andre Onana. Done and dusted. Onana will be playing at Inter next season. He will be replacing Samil Handanovic. So Leno, where could he go? I still believe to German, but also clubs. I think if I am Newcastle, Leno is a great opening. Leno is a great opportunity, because for me, Dubravka, come on, if you're looking to survive relegation, get that guy out of goal, Newcastle. I mean, I do not care if you get relegated or not, but the Geordies, if they want to survive relegation, get that lad out of your, out of your goal. He is really costing you. So I think Leno will be looking at opportunities like maybe Newcastle, because when he goes to Newcastle, he's definitely the number one goalkeeper. And of course, Newcastle do have the money. They can pay him. What he's looking at there as a player is he wants to deputize Manuel Neuer. He wants to be, that goalkeeper that is prepared to be, as deputy, number one, but also as successor to Manuel Neuer. Because we know Neuer at the moment, how many years has he left to go? Around maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4. But at the end of the day, Manuel Neuer will actually, retire earlier than Bernd Leno. So Leno is looking at that opportunity, that opening at Germany, at Bayern, and it's like, if I can get somewhere where I play good football, if I can get somewhere where I'm relevant, they will call me. Because again, at the moment, Ter Stegen is having a really nightmare of the season. He's failing to, when I look at that, Leroy Sané, shot in the Champions League, I'm like, is this the Marc-Andre Ter Stegen that I knew, the top goalkeeper that I really admired so much? But anyway, so Leno could be leaving, I think around 10 million to 15 million. That is the money Arsenal will be looking at in Bernd Leno. And like I said, Newcastle, Bayern, and a couple of clubs. I don't see him go to very many German clubs because his level is not there. I think Germany can play for Bayern and maybe Dortmund, right? Because again, Dortmund, if they can get in a good goalkeeper, if only because their defense is also trash, but if they can get in a good goalkeeper, they would be very big. They would be a better side. So Leno in January, would you let him go? Would I let him go? No. As an Arsenal fan, no, because I know. It just provides that kind of insurance. It just gives us that kind of, he's a dependable player. It just gives you that kind of security that when Ramsdale goes away and Leno comes in, it's not going to be a huge difference. It's not like Ramsdale goes out and then you play Runarsson. I think Ramsdale and Leno at the moment, because Ramsdale is really performing, very well. You would say that they're almost at the same level. Right? Because again, what Leno has done, we can't wash it away. We can't just say Leno is trash, Cossy. No, Leno. No, we can't say that. Honestly, we can't say that. We've got to, we've got to think about it critically. We've got to think about it honestly, and with all absolute honesty. It is true. Leno is a top goalkeeper. So I think in January, because it's a very good time for the player to leave the club, because he's gonna be looking at the World Cup in November, December. It's looking at that, right? And there's no way you're going to have an automatic qualification if you cannot play football. Honestly, there is no way you're going to have it if you can't play football regularly. So I think that is number one. That is number one. Leno, could be leaving. Now, number 2 is Alexander Lacazette. I'm really scared when I think about Alexander Lacazette. The latest reports, we heard about Lacazette and his new contract were that the player wants a long-term contract. Arsenal do not want to give him a long-term contract. Arsenal want to give him a 1-year contract extension. The player wants 3 years in terms of contract extension. And according to many sources reporting, they were saying that Lacazette could end up at one of the Milans in Italy, at either Juve also as well in Italy, and at you can't say for a player because he can't join 2 clubs, but there is also the possibility that he might go to Atletico Madrid. Those are the clubs that we know are interested in Alexander Lacazette. So when you look at Lacazette and his situation and his contract situation at Arsenal, it is frightening, because at the moment, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is an outcast. He's banished. So we have one player we are clinging on to. That is Alexander Lacazette. And his contract situation is a little bit, is a little bit, not a little bit, but very, very uncertain. So uncertain. Should we let go of Alexander Lacazette in January? I've said this, this before, and I'll say it again. No, absolutely not. Absolutely none. And this could be a video of me changing and shifting the goalposts to where I was to a perfect new position, right? Because look, guys, listen to it. Alexander Lacazette is that player that Arsenal are depending on at the moment. Yes, his contract is running down in the summer. We should do whatever it takes to give him at least a 1 year, a contract if Aubameyang is not going to stay. Mikel Arteta said that they're trying, but there is no progress at the moment. And a couple of reports do understand that the player could have a prior agreement with Atletico Madrid to join them for free in the summer. Now, this is interesting. With Alexander Lacazette, I think we are not going to get a lot of money from him in January. I think, look, with all the reports that have been coming in, the Arsenal are willing to listen to offers for Alexander Lacazette, Aubameyang and Nketiah. I understand, but Lacazette is one player now we can't afford to lose. He's just made he's just turned things around and made himself into that very important player. He's just made himself into that player that Arsenal cannot afford to lose. It happens all the time, doesn't it? It happens all the time. Players do that. They just change into important players. Because Lacazette, in the summer, I'm one of those people who said, "Let him go. It's okay. Let me go." But at the moment, I'm even frightened of the thought, thinking that Alexander Lacazette could desire to leave Arsenal in the summer. I'm frightened at that thought. It's one thing that I really do not want to think about, and I hope it doesn't happen. Arsenal need, of all things we need to do, we need to do in January. Yes, we need a striker. Yes, we need a midfielder, but we also need to hold on to Alexander Lacazette, right? Whether there is, whether there will be prior engagements, whether he has prior engagements with other clubs or he doesn't, we need to stay with Alexander Lacazette. He needs to stay at the club. He needs to be there, right? So January, for me, Alexander Lacazette out of it. I won't even discuss his valuation, because any club that comes in for a player whose contract is running down in the summer is going to give you money, and that money is a joke. It's going to be a joke. They'll be like, Arsenal Football Club, Lacazette, we're giving you 9 million. We're giving you 8 million euros because his contract is running down. So what we'll do is buy ourselves time by letting him stay for 6 months, and if it becomes important, maybe we might have to, to give in and give him something like a 2-year contract. My problem, though, with Lacazette is he's playing well, he's performing well, his contract is running down. We've seen these things before. Aubameyang has done it. Contract running down. He plays, give me a new contract football, and then all of the sudden it disappears. It happened with Mesut Ozil as well. Played very good football, new contract, the football disappears. So, and of course, the mistake with Willian. Should we give Lacazette another long-term contract? If we give it to him and it doesn't work out, it's like we never learned from our mistakes. But again, with all this young squad, with all these young players, you just need Lacazette. He's a leader. He's present. His fatherly presence at the club is just needed. So Lacazette option 2. Would you let go of Lacazette or not? If you don't, if you wouldn't let go of Lacazette, let me know in the comments below. And of course, if you let go of Lacazette, let me know in the comments below. Smash a like on the video. Let's get those likes to 50 right about now. Right. So that is Lacazette for you. I think he should stay. Number 3 is Nicolas Pepe. Interesting. Because with Nicolas Pepe, unlike Lacazette, the chances of signing in a striker at Arsenal in January are minimal. They are not really, I wouldn't say out of 100, I think we are looking at 35. out of 100. Unless there is an opportunity that manifests itself, I do not see us going for. I do not see us going for. That striker. I do not see us not going for. Getting a striker. We want him, but it might not happen until the summer. With Nicola Pepe, Dejan Kulusevski could happen, could sign in January. And look, that will be driving the last nail in Nicola Pepe's time at Arsenal, in Nicola Pepe's heart, and Nicola Pepe's contribution to Arsenal. Record signing, 72 million. It has not worked out. Honestly, lads, let's agree. Right, it's not worked out. I've always been one of those people who thought Pepe is not 72 million pounds. He's not worth it. But maybe he can give us what he can give us. But it looks like this, the breed of players we are having are actually developing faster than Nicola Pepe. I think it reminds me of what Arteta said in his press conference about Nicola Pepe. He said, it's all about what I see on a daily basis. It applies to Nico as well. And that means even in training, he's not proving the manager. Because if you remember the comments he made on Gabriel Martinelli, if you still remember those comments, he said he's training hard, he's pushing very hard, he's a very, very relentless player. And all the reason that he's not getting game time, it is on me. I am the one to blame. That means that there was an impression created by Gabriel Martinelli in training behind the scenes. The same manager came out and said, Pepe, according to what I see on a daily basis, Pepe is not that player that we are going to see very soon. He actually added and said that where Pepe plays, there is Saka who has been fantastic. So that means, according to Mikel Arteta, to get for Pepe to get back in the squad, he's got to do 10 times than he's doing at the moment, and at least 2 times better than Bukayo Saka. So for me, listen, the couple of clubs that are interested in Nicola Pepe, and we have already seen this the stories that Nicola Pepe will be looking at and weighing up his options when it comes to the January transfer window. He'll be looking at his options. The problem with Pepe is that he'll be going out in January for AFCON. He's gonna go out in January for AFCON. So there is a problem there. And I think that is really going to affect his move from Arsenal to any other club, because you don't have you're in AFCON. You might not have the time to negotiate the deals and then go for fly for medicals and things like that, process work permits and things like that. But it could also happen. So what I know about Nicola Pepe is that AC Milan could be interested, and Newcastle. Those are the 2 clubs that I'm 100% sure they are interested in Nicola Pepe. They are saying we can provide a solution to Pepe if his time at Arsenal is not actually working out. Let him come to Milan. Let him come to Newcastle. Where would he go, and where would be the better deal for him? I think I don't know, but let's discuss. Newcastle could get relegated. I don't know how much they are going to spend in January, but they will have to do a lot. They would really have to do a lot. They'll need to fix their defense. They'll need to fix their midfield, and they need. I think Callum Wilson, up front is okay as long as they can give him enough supply. I think he is an okay player, but they just need to boost their midfield and boost their wings. They have Maximin in there. They have Wilson. If they can just add Nicola Pepe, maybe there is a chance. But I think Nicola Pepe will not be looking to join a club that is not even sure will survive relegation, right? So I don't think Pepe will be fancying his chances of joining Newcastle. It might be a deal that doesn't make a lot of sense, right? So it might be a deal that really doesn't make a lot of sense for Nicola Pepe. And and I understand why, and I do agree. Milan on the other side, I think Milan are almost at that level where Nicola Pepe wants to be. A big club, they will be competing in Europe, either in the Champions League or in the Europa League. At least they will be able to find a spot here and there. So to think about, to honestly think about Nicola Pepe's future, Arsenal, if we get in Dejan Kulusevski, it's over. Right? But also, even if we don't get in Dejan Kulusevski, I think Nicola Pepe's time at Arsenal is really in doubt. Really, really in doubt. So my opinion there about Pepe is what we should do, get in a new player, probably on loan, and let him go in January, or keep him in this until the summer, but do not keep him beyond the summer. I think that is that would be the better thing to do, because again, Pepe is not one of the worst players in the world. No, you can bring him in the Arsenal side. He can score for you a few goals, like 5. He can create some chances. I think he's too much in his head and he's too self-absorbed. He's so absorbed in himself. If he could just let the world see those things in his head, if he could just play football for perfection, he would be another very, very good player. And of course, we could see him today as we take on Sunderland. Right. So Pepe, do I let him go in January if we get a replacement? If we do not, I do keep him. Next player, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. So Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, of course, we know the first. I'm not going to repeat it. It will be absolute boring for me to always come here and repeat the same steps. Barcelona, PSG, Milan, Juve, Inter Milan are interested. I've not had so many links from the UK, from clubs in the Premier League. I've not heard of many links, but at least I can confirm that we've offered him to a couple of clubs, and his wages are the problem. Aubameyang is one of the priorities that Arsenal will be looking at in terms of exits. He's one of the priorities. We will try to let him go. We will try to sell him as soon as we can, as quickly as we can, as fast as possible. Now, the problem with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is, I think whether we get in a replacement or we do not, it doesn't matter. Because look, if he's no longer training with the side until the end of AFCON, that is until February, I doubt he's going to come back and, just establish himself as a striker, as a player. It's going to be so hard. So it is Lacazette until the end of the season. If Lacazette gets an injury, it's either Edin Ketia or Martinelli that's going to step in, unless Arsenal get a new striker. So Aubameyang, for me, should be the big, it should be Aubameyang's biggest priority. He should stop focusing on himself. He should stop focusing on Arsenal. He should start looking for a new club. That is it. He should start looking for a new club. Look, Barca wants him. They have already proposed a loan deal to Arsenal, and they hope that maybe Aubameyang could just reduce on his wages that he's currently earning at Arsenal. It's a puzzle, right? If you're Aubameyang, do you leave the club? Do you decide to leave the club and reduce on your salary and get game time, or do you stay at Arsenal for another year, get your money, and then move on? It's something that Aubameyang will really, really need to work on. It is something that I think Aubameyang will really need to to address. But in my opinion, it's already a dead zone. Aubameyang is in a dead zone, right? The hatred that the club is showing him, the disrespect that we are showing him as a club, you can't justify. I can't really justify. I would love him. I would love to see Aubameyang, have a good season, whether at Arsenal or maybe at any other club. I would just love to see Aubameyang have a good season, just to reaffirm that he's a good player. We know he's a good player. We've seen him at Dortmund. We've seen him there. He's a good player, ain't he? We've seen him at Arsenal. He's a good player. But I mean, I've always said it. He's one of those players that are really are affected by the ecology. They are affected by the ecological factors. When the ecological factors are wrong, he's never going to have a smile on his face. He's never going to be okay. When the ecological factors are right, when the environment is is conducive, he's going to put on that big smile as a player, and you're always going to see a positive Aubameyang. So Aubameyang in January, he should go. Honestly, he should go. Not because he's too poor. Right? Forget all the runs that I've made after match reactions, after Newcastle missing glorious chances, after Manchester United missing glorious chances. That is when an Arsenal fan is fuming. I was fuming. But to logically think about it, Aubameyang should go for a bit, for the better parts of his career. He should be leaving. Not because he's too poor, but he should be leaving. If he wants to save his career, January is the perfect opportunity. Where should he go? At the moment, Barcelona are only having one goal scoring player, and that is Memphis Depay. They have lost Kun Aguero to an early retirement. Okay, so to an early retirement, and he's taken up an ambassadorial role at Manchester City, right? Yeah. So I think they will need a striker. Barcelona will need a striker, and at the moment, they could use anything. Barcelona, even if you told Barcelona that Cossy here is going to give you, some goals, they will take me. They will definitely take me. By the way, I was a very, very good striker. If no one knows, but before I quit football, I was a prolific striker. Prolific. Of course, football for me in my country does not really pay big money really. But anyway, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang to Barcelona, for me it seems like it feels like two lovers in bed. It's just they're just compatible. The misery Barcelona are in at the moment, the lack of goals, the lack of players making the ball to cross the line, and then Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang as well as a player grieving, as a player in misery, absolute mayhem. Facing his career, I think it's a perfect move. But also Juve is another perfect destination for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. I think. I mean, he should assess his chances, right? He should assess his chances. But if he goes to Juve, he's gonna get the game time he wants. I think there is Morata there, but his quality as a Aubameyang, if he can get his goal, scoring, boots, forget whatever's happened in his past, get those, shoelaces, tighten them. I think. I just believe it. I just believe in it. He goes to Juve, boom, become, under Allegri. I think it would work. Let me know, people. Do you think it would work at Juve? Because for me, I look at him there as an important player. Really, he would be an important player at Juve. Let me know though in the comments below. So Aubameyang, another one that could face the exit. Another controversial one is Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Now, with Ainsley, why I say the word controversy at the beginning of the statement, and then I added a few phrases to make it controversial, is our midfield shambles are not yet healed. Yes, we've had a spell where we've added some is it called ointment to the wound, to the swelling. And it feels a little bit relieved, but the shambles are still there. And actually, I think our midfield shambles will be unlocked when Partey leaves in January with Mohamed El Neni, right? So that means the backups will now have to be the starters, and we will have no backups unless Arsenal go for a January signing, which we know by Fabrizio Romano's standards that he doesn't lie. He says that Arsenal will be looking at a midfielder in January. Very, very interested there. I'm not talking about the names because we've already spoken about them on the channel. And also speaking about the fact that we want to get in a midfielder. Ainsley is complaining about game time. I expected it though. I'm not even going to say I'm surprised. I expected it that Ainsley Maitland-Niles would at some point in time ask for game time. Mikel Arteta in the summer told him, "You're not going anywhere, son. I believe in you. I trust you. I will give you game time." I will give you the football you are requesting. Of course, the similarity between players like Rob Holding, Ainsley, and Eddie Nketiah is that they're not looking at financial pressures at the moment. They're looking at can I get some game time? Can I play football more? Can I get some more football at Arsenal? That is what they're looking at. They want to play more. They want to be a part of this Arsenal side more and more and more. That is what they want. Now, if you ask me, people, would I let go of Ainsley Maitland-Niles? Newcastle and Everton they're not knocking, but they're desperate. They desperately need him in there. Newcastle, I believe, to be preparing a bid, and as well as Everton. So the two clubs that want him would give him the opportunity to play regularly as a midfielder. That really makes a lot of sense, right? They would give him the opportunity to play regularly as a midfielder, but also to think about it at a higher level. I think Ainsley Maitland-Niles is looking at himself as, I was about to say as an outcast, but not really, as the black sheep in the family. He's looking at Emile Smith-Rowe. He's looking at Saka. He's looking at Odegaard. He knows and he feels in that he should be playing day by day on the pitch, right? He's not getting any younger. And when you look at all the players that are really playing ahead of him, right? Most of them I really mentioned are not playing in his place, but he wants to play as a midfielder. Is he going to get that time? Is he going to play ahead of Alba Lokonga? I doubt. Is he going to play ahead of Xhaka and Partey? I doubt that. So I think it is time for him to realize that I want to be at Arsenal. I'm an Arsenal player. I'm an Arsenal fan. But I think I need to move on. He said it in the summer when we blocked his move. When Mikel Arteta blocked his move, he said, "Why don't you let me go? All I want is to go somewhere where I'm appreciated, somewhere where I'm gonna play, where I'm gonna be playing football, somewhere where I'm going to be taken as a treasure." That is his feeling, right? It's the same feeling with Rob Holding, and it's the same feeling with Eddie Nketiah. They just want to be appreciated. And the reason, let me tell you, there is no way you're going to appreciate a player unless they're a veteran and you make them a statue. A young player is appreciated by game time. If you can't find game time, you can't keep them. But should we let go of Eddie? Should we let go of Eddie in January? Sorry, not Eddie, but Ainsley? No, absolutely not. I don't think we should go. We should let go of Ainsley. It would be a big mistake. Our midfield just needs more players, not reducing any of them. So I would definitely not let go of Ainsley. I wouldn't let go of Ainsley, but I would consider selling him in the summer alongside with Mohamed Elneny and Granit Xhaka as well. So Elneny for me, Ainsley for me. The good possibility is for him to leave in the summer. Now, Eddie Nketiah, masterclass. Eddie on the call has received a couple of calls from the German Bundesliga and a couple of calls from clubs in the Premier League. And apparently, Eddie on the call is weighing his options as well to leave Arsenal. Mikel Arteta, what is really surprising is that he's told the player that he is important. He doesn't want him to go, and they would really be happy and pleased if he stays at Arsenal Football Club. Eddie Nketiah, for me, lads, is... I don't really see him as a player who's going to develop, into a massive talent, into a massive striker. I'm looking at him at the level of Christian Benteke, Andy Carroll, Callum Wilson, Joshua King, to mention but a few, right? I think that is where he will be, right? He might get more successful above the level of the likes of Solomon Rondon, but he's going to be at that level. Play for West Ham, play for Everton. I think that is his level, really. And for Mikel Arteta coming out and starting to flatter the player that we want you to stay. You're a very, very important player. You're not giving him game time. Even when Aubameyang was really performing poorly, Nketiah was not starting games. How do we convince him? But should we convince Eddie Nketiah to stay? No, absolutely not. If you do like the Eddie Nketiah to stay, let me know in the comments below. But for me, lads, Eddie Nketiah, not even a loan deal. No, not even a loan deal. It is time up for Eddie. He needs to go. Absolutely. He needs to go. Let go of Eddie. I mean, thank you so much for Eddie. Thank you so much, Eddie, for what you've done for us. Now, we will catch up with you later. A couple of clubs are interested. Gladbach wants him. Leverkusen wants him. Which other club do I know? There is a club in Italy that are interested. And was it Fiorentina? It wasn't Fiorentina. There was a club in Italy that was interested, and of course we know Brighton have always been interested. Crystal Palace were always interested, as well as West Ham. They've always been interested in Eddie Nketiah. Mikel Arteta really wants him to stay, and he's come out and said, publicly, and he confessed that he told the player that he rates him. He told the player that he likes him. But for me, Eddie just needs to go to find his game time elsewhere. And the last player I will be speaking about in depth, and then I just mentioned a few names, is Rob Holding. Holding is an important player at Arsenal at the moment because aside Gabriel and White, he is the immediate player we can call upon. Rob Holding. Pablo Mari at the moment, ever since he had a dreadful game against Romelu Lukaku, and his Chelsea side. I think we've lost trust, and I think the player is also, facing an exit. He could face an exit in the summer. Flamingo want him this January on loan. Should we let him go? Should we let Pablo Mari go? I think no. Keep Pablo Mari, and I would say the same thing with Rob Holding. He wants game time. Newcastle want him, but keep him. Keep him until the summer when William Saliba arrives at Arsenal. Keep him, because we can't lose Rob Holding at the moment. He's special. He's important. Not special like he's very good, because I really don't rate him. But I think with Rob Holding right now, he's like a piece of gold that we are not using. Right? That kind of piece of diamond that we are not using. The day we will need to make a diamond drink, we will pull out that diamond. So Rob Holding, if anything happens to Gabriel, if anything happens to Ben White, he is the immediate fallback. He is our immediate fallback position. So we can't let him go. There are a couple of other names that I should be looking at. Cedric. I think Cedric should stay. Chambers as well should stay, unless very good offers come in. If good offers come in for one of them, we can let go of one of them, and that should be Cedric. Keep Callum Chambers. Kolasinac, wanted by Watford. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Kolasinac. Just let me know your opinions. I'm not even going to say anything about Kolasinac, but let me know your opinions about Kolasinac being at Arsenal or leaving the club in January. Right, so let's look at some of your comments, lads. Make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure you're also smashing all your comments in. Just spam them in the comment section. It really helps us to get the consistency. And how is it called? The engagement. Smash the like button. Let's get the likes over 50. Make sure we do that right about now. My man Rokani Media says Aoba will work very well in any team. Has players in any team that has players who are at his level. Arsenal has no players to push him. Yeah, I think you're right. You're also right. The project we have does not suit Aubameyang. Rokan, you're absolutely right. I think the project that we are running at the moment at Arsenal, it excludes Aubameyang. It just excludes him. And sorry to any Arsenal fans out there. I think because Rokan is a Manchester United fan, but he's right. The project, I think he no longer believes in this project. It just needs, to be at a place where he's surrounded by players of his quality, of his age, of his mentality. I think he wants to win something before he retires. That's what he's thinking about. And when he looks at this Arsenal side that is going to win things in the next 5 years, in the next half a decade, there is no way he would be contented. Sander Peter says, ha ha ha. Okay. I mean, the explanation. I don't know if the exclamation is coming to me, but if it is, appreciate it. Taika says Alba must go. That's according to Joseph. Says Aubameyang must go. How are you doing, Quincy? Long time, my bro. Hope you're doing well. And then Adesanya says everything must be done to retain Alexander Lacazette. His experience would be of immense value to the youthful, but efficient attacking, but the efficient attacking. Are you saying Kodro of Martinelli, ESR, Saka, and Odegaard? Okay, yeah, I think you're right. I've seen some. Look, I am no football analyst, but I think I can say it. We are really playing well because of that lad, Lacazette. I think ever since Lacazette, got into the team, our press is a little bit better. Actually, massively better. Betson says Kolasinac should go, but the rest back should stay. And coming of Saliba will make our squad stronger too. Thank you so much, Betson. Point driven home. My man Cubs FM. Make sure you do subscribe to Cubs FM. I'm always there jazzing. I've been talking during my free time. I'm always there, and it's a very, very wonderful channel. So make sure you do tune in to Cubs FM on YouTube. Right? I only do content for YouTube. If you see my face on TikTok, that is not me. Cub says, I think Rob Holding and Colum Chambers should look for playing space elsewhere. Yeah, I think Holding is going to be like, I think he has the potential of being an important player for a team. Right? He's young at the moment, and I think he will be looking at those opportunities as an outlet, right? As an outlet. For Chambers, I would keep him until the summer, honestly. But I think, is he going to be an important player for any other team? It's questionable. Marka Chris says, but between... it says, I love Chambers' passing, all right, absolutely. And then Chris says, Chris also says Pepe should stay. Matthew Akambi says no contract for Lacazette. Chris says, at what time is Arsenal playing today? We are playing at 10:45, 15 minutes to 11 p.m. Taika Joseph says, Cossy, how are you? I'm asking Lautaro Martinez, is he coming to Arsenal in January? That is a complicated deal in January. We want him. But it's a complicated deal in January. Very, very complicated. Okay, Sunday Peter says Leno is a quality player. Charles says Kolasinac and Pepe should be leaving. And Jack Knight says not Xhaka. He is good. All right. Mwaka Chris Cossy, thanks for the show. Let me try to watch Arsenal versus Sunderland. All right. Anu says good evening to you, Cossy. Good evening to you, Anu. Chris says even Rob Holding, Cossy should be leaving the club. Cubs, you've said I think Rob Holding and Callum Chambers should look for playing space elsewhere. And then some of the suggested names that you've suggested that should be leaving the club and are exhausted. Sander Peter, you said Edin Ketia. Wahid said Aubameyang. Chris says you've said Rob Holding. As well. Anu says, good afternoon, Cossy. Good evening to you. I hope you're doing well. Sandy Peter says Edin Ketia. Mwaka says, and then says Leno should stay, but Xhaka and Ketia, Genduzi, Kolasinac, and Aubameyang should all leave the club. Right. And then Fig Prince, my man, says I'm watching Balagan tonight. And then Pepe says Pepe needs time. Sorry for coming late. I love you, bro. This is according to Richie. Okay, Richie. Let's comment about you and Fig Prince, and then we end the show. Right. So what I'm gonna say about Nicola Pepe, it is not over for his career, right? It is not over for his career. In that Arsenal side, there are players that I look at, and I know it is not over for them. It is not over for their career. Nicola Pepe is one of them. Aubameyang is the other. Failing at Arsenal does not mean you failed. Honestly, right? Failing at Arsenal doesn't really mean you failed. Should we give Nicola Pepe more time? No. I absolutely disagree with that. Should Pepe give himself another chance at another club? Absolutely. That is what he should do. right? But should we keep him? No, we shouldn't be keeping him. We shouldn't be keeping him. We shouldn't be keeping him, right? So more time for Nicola Pepe. I disagree. I absolutely disagree. But should Pepe, does Pepe have a future? Is he below the redemption, the redemption line? Yes. He's not, he's not past that time where he's, he can be redeemed as a player. If he goes to Milan, we've seen it. Romelu Lukaku goes to Inter Milan, and Lukaku is the man, right? We've seen these things. They happen all the time in, time out. So Pepe, as a player, not yet finished for Arsenal. He's not getting any younger, and so many young players are ahead of him, and they're doing really well. Unless he can do better than them, I think his time at Arsenal is a little bit finished. Cossy says, Cossy's number one fan says, Fig Prince says, watching Balogun tonight. I think if Mikel Arteta doesn't give Balogun a chance, it's unfair. We're playing Sunderland, and Balogun is one of those players again that is there waiting for his chance patiently, right? The times we've seen Balogun in the league, I think he's not. At the beginning of the season, he didn't actually do well, but when we saw him in the Europa League in those games, games, because look, he's just graduated from the under-23s. You don't expect him to just come and bang hit Manchester City. But when we saw him in the Europa League against opponents that are almost at that level where where he loves it, he was fantastic. So I think this is his game. This is Edin Nketiah's game. This is Balogun's game, as well. Ben Oluka says, this is Oluka telling me about Renato deal to Arsenal. We are basically discussing outgoings, but of course if I get anything new, make sure you always do check out the morning video. That is when we talk about all the stories under 20 minutes, all stories that are that are trending at the club. Emmanuel Mamba says, "How Cossy? How are you doing? How are you doing, Emmanuel Mamba? I'm really doing well as well." So make sure people you're smashing the like button. If you have not made it to 50 likes, I do not know you people. I don't know what you're gonna tell me. Make sure you smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel. My name is Cossy, and I'm gonna speak to you in the next one. Love you so much as always.